Hi, and welcome back again. I'm Laura Templeton, your host for 30 Second Success, the podcast. And I am delighted to be here today with my good friend, Suzanne Taylor-King. Before we jump into meeting Suzanne, I'm going to share a little bit about a podcast where clarity, courage, and connection come to life through the decision that defines us. I'm your host, Laura Templeton, and today we're diving into the bold, messy, and meaningful moments that help us move forward in business and in life. So let's jump in. Suzanne Taylor-King is here with me today. We all lovingly call her STK. And she is a bold brand, beautiful communicator. I love Suzanne Taylor-King. We met in LinkedIn. And
Mhm.
I think the two of us were commenting on something that Mel Robbins posted. And I loved what you were posting and reached out. We connected on LinkedIn. We've had great conversations. We've been friends for a while now. And even to
Mhm.
the point that one time I was back at my mom's and you came to visit. And I
Yeah.
loved that we got to meet in person when everybody else was still connecting online. So, it's always fun to meet your online friends in person, and I highly recommend you ever have an opportunity to do so. Jump in and do it. And Suzanne and I have been able to do that periodically, and it's so much fun. So let's jump in. I'm going to invite Suzanne, who is she's the founder of Tailored Coaching and Consulting, and I'm going to invite Suzanne to share her 30-second message with us.
Oh boy, you're putting me on the spot for my 30-second message. I better do a good job. Um, I I don't like using the word I in my 30-second, so I'm just gonna go right in that my ideal client is typically someone who is struggling with all the things in their business. And it looks like overwhelm, typically because they're bored, they're sick of doing it, and it's content and it's all these things. And I really simplify things for my clients and my community members. And whether it's dismantling limiting beliefs, encouraging you to go bigger, or recreating a whole entire business, I'm a six-time founder myself, three massive exits that were wildly successful, and one huge failure where I learned all my lessons. So excited to share with your tribe today.
Love it. I love it. And and that's one of the things I know that you have over the years since we've known each other. Your message has evolved, and I'm always
Mhm.
excited to hear how deep you go into helping people understand who you serve and how you serve them. And that is
Yeah.
so beautiful that you've kept to that truth of who you are and how you bring that into your message. It's always so beautiful to hear. So let's come in and talk a little bit about what's something that people are often surprised to learn about you. I know you just shared a little
Mhm.
bit about, the transformations that you've been through with your successes and some not so great successes. What's
Yeah.
one thing that people are always surprised to learn about you?
I think it's how many things I've struggled with. I think the online image, my brand is bold and fearless and black and gold. And I can't wait for you to see my new website that's going to drop in a week or two. But uh, just they see this fearless, uh, successful, um, and and I think they're always surprised how many struggles I've been through, whether it's, a couple divorces, a bankruptcy, but it's more the personal struggles, an autoimmune diagnosis, my mom passing, my dad passing, lots of other health challenges along the way. And most recently, last year, I was in Dallas for Conscious Capitalism. Huge opportunity for my brand and my coaching to be facilitating the Conscious Capitalism conference. And 4 hours in, I started getting sick. And I mean, sick, really sick. I had to go back to the hotel room. I tried not to, but I had to. And I spent the rest of the conference in bed, sick, won't even go into describing that, and got home, only made it home because My roommate was my mentor, Dr. Dorothy. She did some energy work on me so I would stop vomiting so I could get on the plane and come home. Turns out I had a ruptured hernia that strangled my intestines. I almost died and emergency surgery. And here's what it taught me. I wasn't taking care of myself to the level I knew I should be. I didn't listen to the doctor when they said, you should do something about this hernia before you have to do something. Hmm. Yeah, interesting thought. I didn't. And then the awareness that illness strikes and I'm in the hospital for 10 days without real communication with my clients. Of course, I had my phone and I had, I could text people, but it wasn't the same. Nobody missed me. That that was the realization. My clients were fine with me being in like there was no emergency that I needed to show up for. Um, the online space didn't say, "Oh my God, where have you been?" And that awareness was priceless for me because it really showed me that the impact I have is not random content on social media, that it's the relationships that I have with people that I text that are in my phone. And it just clarified so much for me moving forward.
That's beautiful. I love how you take lessons from everything. You know, that it's the life lessons, right? So
Yeah.
and I know that's one of the things that in your coaching practice, you help people really dig in to the lessons that life
Mhm.
teaches us, right? It's the experience, the things that we go through. A little bit about that because I think a lot of our
Mhm.
listeners, they're still struggling to figure out, what do I talk about? What do I not talk about? How do I, and you're so good at it. I love
Mm,
what you share on social media.
thank
Folks, if you
you.
are not following Suzanne on LinkedIn, you have to. It's amazing that she just is a content genius.
Thank you.
And it's like, I want to be Suzanne someday. I like every time I read your stuff, I'm like, oh, I love this. And I think that's really powerful. But about how you help your clients, your audience, bring those life lessons in and embrace them. Because I think that's one of
Mm.
the really powerful things that you do with your clients.
Well, I think number one is I had to do it for myself. I had to be willing to do the introspection. I happen to have two incredible mentors in that space. I also hired a coach 3 or 4 years ago and did all these assessments on myself from the linear corporate assessments, and then I went down the rabbit hole of the more astrology based woo woo assessments, human design and gene keys and Chinese astrology, and really it was all about learning myself. Why do I make these decisions? Why have these things happened to me? And you can't connect dots going forward. Like I can't sit here and say I'm going to do this tomorrow because it's going to lead to clients on Friday. We can't use our lessons for the forward, but I can look backwards. And I think positive psychology kind of taught me that reviewing those negative experiences, and I'm getting goosebumps on my whole body, so this is spot on. When you can review those negative experiences and find that little golden nugget of wisdom, and I talk about a lot different negative situations that at the time were devastating. I mean, devastating situations in my life. But now I can look back on each one of those stories and tell the story from a place of empowerment and wisdom, and that I found what it was teaching me about me and other people and about life. And I think the storytelling, and you talked about my LinkedIn content has improved dramatically in the last 2 or 3 years, and it's because I got asked to teach how I tell stories. Like, how do I tell a story to Laura that's for Laura, and I take that same story and tell a construction worker the same story, but it's in a way that's for him. And I had to, again, how am I going to teach this to somebody else when it's a natural talent for me? And it was that whole introspection of breaking it. How do I tell a story? What's the emotional connection? What's the hook that I use to grab someone like you is different than if I'm grabbing an attorney or a dentist, right? The hook is different. Story's the same. And then how do I use analogies and fun facts to transition that into working with me? Well, obviously, I use AI to help me with a lot of that math equation of putting a story together, but I had to do the work. AI couldn't teach me how to tell stories better. I had to come up with the equation, and then AI helped me accentuate that.
Beautiful. I love it. I think that's so powerful when you can take the life lessons and break down, okay, how do I do, that's why we're talking a lot of times about creating SOPs, right? When you start to break down your process of doing something, it becomes really clear that you follow a methodology, which you didn't
Yeah,
even realize you were doing, right? You have
yeah.
a system that's kind of ingrained in you, but when you go to put it onto paper, it's like it becomes real and it becomes a formula that can then repeat. And that's
Well,
really
I think
powerful.
that's the key. I think, for anybody who's an entrepreneur, SOPs are great, right? That way we can empower other people to help us with our business. But there's also this unconscious ability that each person has, and each person's different. Well, that unconscious ability of yours, and you take that and put it into tangible words and a process and a system, it then becomes something valuable in the marketplace. It also is your differentiation factor between you and someone else. And I don't know what makes me able to see that. It's almost like I can close my eyes and I can see all the moving parts of someone else's business and what they need. I couldn't do it with myself. So I really depended on people like you, your book, and other coaches that I know, and just allowing the introspection and the trust that I would find the next thing that was going to help me really refine that ability of my own. So I think that's the key, finding that unique ability.
I love that. And you're absolutely right, is really having the surrounding yourself with people. So it really comes back to coaches needing coaches
Yeah.
and, being coachable. I think that is, when we get to a point where we can't see the bigger picture because we're so in it, we're in the weeds of our
Yeah.
businesses, and we can't see the bigger picture, we can't see the direction forward. That's when it's really important to bring someone in, whether it's a coach, a mentor, someone that really knows you, understands your business, and can help you kind of part the curtains and go, oh, this is the direction I need to be going in. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the work that you do. And even what you share online, you're helping people really to see moving forward. And I
Mm.
and I give you a lot of credit for that. So, I coming back to our topic here, I just wanted to see, have you ever made a really fast decision that felt scary but ended up being the exact thing you needed?
Every day. Every day. Um, this is often a subject of debate with my husband, who is an engineer and very linear thinker. Um, and he's never been an entrepreneur. And after almost 40 years as an entrepreneur of some sort or other, I make quick decisions. And I fully believe that out of every quick decision, if I take 10, there's two, no, shouldn't have done that. But then there's 8 that are life-changing, move my business forward. And it could be something as simple as, oh, I want that guy on my podcast. And if I overthink it, I wouldn't message him. But if I just say, love his vibe, love his content, oh, he's got 150,000 followers. Ooh, maybe I can't reach out to him. Baloney, just do it. So anything that takes less than a minute, I just do immediately. I don't think about it. I don't, and it's paid off. And I think being okay with making the mistake. Like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. And being okay with that is really the key.
Is, and it's a beautiful lesson to, that's where the lessons come from. That's where we
Yeah.
learn when we make the hard choices and it doesn't work out the way we thought it would, but maybe it works out better.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes it doesn't, but you take the lesson, walk away, move on, and make the next choice, make the next
Yeah.
decision. And it's so powerful. I love the fact that
Well,
you make,
and then you develop this trust in yourself, right? That you get bolder and bolder and bolder. And I said something a couple weeks ago to somebody who was referred to me for an opinion on his business. And after like a 15-minute conversation, I asked him a really hard question. And I'll share the question because I think as a business coach, for me to ask somebody how the extra 100 pounds was serving him in his business and leadership, it resulted in a, and I knew I hit something. I hit a nerve. I hit a, like a, an insecurity for him. And all of a sudden, he saw me differently. He immediately was just like, "Oh, well, she's not going to sugarcoat things. She's not going to not tell me something." It's kind of like, are you the type of person that tells somebody when they have spinach in their teeth? Yes, I am. And I'll tell you what teeth numbers it's between, too. So, um I think it's helped me. Knowing myself has helped me be bolder with other people. And if you want to separate yourself from other coaches or even in the online space in general, people are going to hire you because you tell them the truth, not because you sugarcoat and put band-aids on things.
love that. So, quick reminder, if you're enjoying this episode, please take a moment to like, follow, or subscribe to the podcast. Your support helps us reach more people with stories and strategies that inspire real connection. Love the fact that you said about not putting band-aids on things, right? So that I think that is a great analogy for people. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
ripping the band-aid off.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are a little surprised when that happens, but I think that's how we help people move forward faster. I would
Yeah.
love to get your take on, the challenges that you've had to overcome that most people don't see from the outside. We've
Mhm.
talked about that. We've already talked about the health issues and things like that. Let's go a little bit deeper. Are there challenges that you had to overcome to get out of your own way?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a perfectionist. Um, and I'm also a procrastinator. So there was lots of internal self-sabotage that I disguised as learning. Like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I have to go spend 2 weeks learning how to do that. And then that ended up down rabbit holes of inaction and not selling myself and not moving forward. And that happened over and over, so much so that I got sick of it to the point where I just said, what do I do here? And somebody told me about the PQ program, and I did that and learned how to quiet that self-sabotage controller voice in my head. And that was really the first step. I'm still a little bit of a perfectionist about some things. Other things I don't care anything about. You tell me I have a punctuation mistake in my LinkedIn post, I don't care. Did the message hit? Great. You tell me you don't like my AI photos because you think it's not real? Great. I don't care. And so I think it's made me braver. Tackling my own nonsense in my head has made me braver in the eyes of other people.
I love that. And the fact that you share that too, I think is so
Yeah.
powerful. And,
Yeah.
I love the fact that you are really embracing that positive psychology that helps you tackle those mental challenges, right? Because so
Mhm.
many, and you hit the nail on the head, that fear of failure, the perfectionism that holds us back.
Yeah.
And it's the decisions that we make that help us move forward. And sometimes it keeps us in a place of indecision.
Yeah.
But really exploring that, how has your message or mission evolved because of what you've experienced? How has your business evolved?
It's funny when I think about it, I'm kind of astonished that, because everybody says just be authentic and your brand will resonate with who it's supposed to resonate with. And I was like, ah, I didn't believe that. For 2 seconds, I thought I had to be like this person or that person. And I think truly, when I finally understood all of the people that I learned from, all the books I've read, all the mentors I've had, I am the combination of all of that. And now it's up to me to step into that. And I kind of lean on Stoic philosophy here that I I am the wisdom that is in my head and that has touched my hand. So all the people that I've worked with, all the friends I've had, the relationships I've had, like anybody I've touched that's now part of my wisdom bank, if you will. I didn't fully trust that because I didn't trust myself. Now I do. And I will tell you the difference is I can show up and talk about my business without a script, without notes. I can give a talk. Somebody messaged me at 1 o'clock today and said, could you give a talk to my group at 4? My speaker canceled. Yup, I can. What do you want me to talk about? And there's no nerves and there's no pretense because I trust me. And I think that's really the homework. How do you get to the point where you trust yourself completely? I trust my knowledge. I also trust my intuition. And, I trust when my gut says no, it's a no. And I also trust that if somebody asks me a question I don't know the answer to, I'm okay saying I don't know the answer to that, but I'll get back to you with the answer. And I never could do that before because I thought that would mean I wasn't worthy of that person hiring me.
But speaking about that, right? You just said,
Mhm.
and I want you to talk a little bit more about this. But when you and here's the beautiful thing that I know about you: when you say you are going to follow up,
Mhm.
I don't know. Let me get back to you on that. You get back to people,
I do.
right? Because
I do.
I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody tell me that they were going to get back to me, and I've had to follow up with them.
Mhm.
Like, can you answer this question for me? And I think that's really powerful for you as a communicator and as a coach. And as I think it says a lot about you as a person because it speaks to who you are.
Mm.
So can you expand on that a little bit? Like, how important is that, especially for our audience, if you commit to something and you say you're going to do something,
Mhm.
what does that do for you, your brand, your business?
I think there's a couple aspects here of, you know, doing what you say in business, um, just like in any relationship, doing what you say. If I say I'm making dinner tonight, all of a sudden my husband doesn't have to make dinner. uh, I'm going to do it. Whether 6 o'clock comes and I don't feel like doing it or not, it's because I said I would do it.
Right.
And I think that's another Stoic philosophy thing for me. This, you know, be where your feet are. So really be present with the people that you're with. Do what you say. If I say I'm going to introduce you to somebody, I write it down when I say it so that I don't, it might take me a couple days to do it, but I do it. Um, and I think remembering that, that I'm only as good as my word. And I think that was in Think and Grow Rich. And,
Mhm.
it's one of those core foundational principles for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, if today's conversation got you thinking about your brand, your message, or how you're showing up in the world, come check out the Brand Success Hub. It's my on demand resource center packed with tools, trainings, and templates to help you get clear, consistent, and confident in your brand. And Susanna's promised that she's going to give us a 10-minute teach to add to the resources there. So, be sure to check it out and go deeper with some of what Suzanne loves to share with her audience and her clients. So, just head over to 30secondsuccess.com and click on the hub, and I'll see you on the inside. So, Suzanne, we're almost out of time here. I love spending
Yeah.
time with you, but I would love for you to share what advice you have for someone facing their own make or break moment.
Mm. I think have a trusted advisor, number one, somebody who is not your partner, not your child, and not your best friend. Somebody who has done either what you want to do or is actively doing it. And it doesn't have to be somebody you pay. I have many mentors and peers who guide me with certain things and vice versa. And then I really think getting better at decision making has been really instrumental for me. How do I improve that? And don't go down a rabbit hole learning new stuff. Say to yourself, who knows that better than anyone else? And go have a conversation with that person.
Oh, I love that. That's great advice. Yeah, a lot of people can
Yeah,
get lost in
it's a
the
reason for
learning.
connecting with other people
Yes.
too, right? So, I remember I wanted to explore trust between people. Like, how do you get to that point where you really trust somebody? And then, what does borrowed trust look like? So, if I refer Laura to somebody and I say, you got to hire Laura, she'll help you with that. And that person comes to the call with you, immediately trusting you because I said that. They're borrowing my trust onto you. Love that. Well, who's the world renowned expert on trust based selling? Ari Galper. He's based in Australia. I messaged him. Will you be on my podcast to have a conversation about trust? Well, we didn't record our episode yet, but we've been having the most amazing voice messages back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, like totally geeking out about this. And I thought, yeah, who, not how. And I forget who wrote that book, Simon Sinek, maybe? Who,
Yes,
not
I believe
how.
so.
So get used to thinking, who do I need to talk to change my thinking about trust? I go to that expert who wrote a book about it, and oh my gosh, that opened up so many doors for me, because I was willing to have those conversations with people.
And I think that's really powerful is the willingness to have those conversations. So, what do you wish people understood about leadership?
Oh, I think I want to be the leader that people get to follow, that they're
Mm.
inspired to follow and hire and learn from, rather than feeling like they have to because they've hired me, or I don't know. I want it to, leadership to me is, who am I being day to day? And if that's worthy and good and, providing value to people, then leadership just comes with that.
Mm. Providing value. I know
Yeah.
that's centric to who you are and your
Yeah.
mission. I love it. I love it. So as we wrap up, I would love to ask you what's lighting you up right now about your life, your work, your faith? What's got you excited?
Mm. Well, I have doubled down on my health journey, fitness, getting back in shape, supplements, hormone replacement, peptides, biohacking. I have literally thrown the kitchen sink at myself. I've lost 40 pounds. I'm feeling amazing. Like the difference is ridiculous. So that's super exciting. And when you start getting results like that, you stay doing the program, right? So
Mm,
I've had a
that's
great coach
beautiful.
for that and a great mentor for that. She's been amazingly helpful for me. And then business wise, I have an AI enablement offer that is just so exciting and fun, and um I don't know. It's having me see companies at a whole new level as far
Mhm.
as their business, their automations, and what's possible for these companies. And I'm having so much fun creating the reports and the plans. That's where I geek out. Like, how do I use AI to create these reports and the plan and have it look amazing, and just having fun doing that.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. That is so powerful when you're excited about the work that you're doing
Yeah.
and that you're and it is, focusing on helping people really embrace the new technology. I know you love we could talk for hours about AI alone. So
Mhm.
maybe that's another podcast. But so what's the best way for people to connect with you or go deeper into your work?
Well, the new website will be ready in a week or two, SuzanneTaylorKing.com. There is a website there right now, but it's the old one. The new one is coming. I have a Substack with all kinds of fun articles in my AI newsletter, written completely with AI in a persona. So she's super fun. Her name's Evelyn, after my mother. She's a sassy 50s housewife who drinks martinis and reports on AI. And if you don't laugh out loud every time you read her newsletter, maybe let me know if it's not hitting funny enough. And that's on Substack, SuzanneTaylorKing.substack.com. And that's free to all who subscribe.
Beautiful. I love Evelyn. I look forward to seeing Evelyn every week. She's amazing.
I know.
So thank you
Obsessed.
so much for being with us. So before we go, what final thought or encouragement would you leave our listeners with today?
Mm. I think it's the authentic piece, and it's such a buzzword right now. It doesn't mean throw everything onto social media, but be very strategic with your authenticity. Good stories that explain the lessons that you've been through, but not too current, right? Like, I'm not currently talking about, the lesson I learned a year ago with my surgery. That'll come in the future, because there's more gold to still come from that story. Like diving into my health and losing weight and all the things. So I think, be really clear about what message you want to share, and then stay in that zone of sharing that authenticity with your audience, and do it in a way that benefits other people always. If you're writing a post and it's I, No, write it for your ideal client. And when I started that a couple years ago, the difference was marked. I mean, so many more messages, so many more comments because I stopped talking about myself and I put those lessons for other people.
Mm, beautiful. I love it. When you start focusing on your audience, and this is it.
Yeah,
This is actually a podcast that I just recorded an episode, and it's called "It's Not About You."
love it.
So that's it's being very purposeful on making sure
Yeah,
that your message connects with your audience, and that's a beautiful lesson for all of us to learn. So thank you for sharing that with us.
of
I'm
course.
so grateful for you being here with me today, Suzanne. I love our time together. And thank you so much for joining us on the 30-Second Success podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss next week's inspiring conversation. Until then, stand in your brand, trust your voice, and remember, success is just 30 seconds away.